Cloaked in the shadows.
Okay, Amanda,
Okay,
what are we doing today?
we're doing Cloaked in the Shadows.
What is, people don't know, and I don't know why you're here if you don't know, what is Cloaked in the Shadows?
It's the weird and wonderful podcast where anything legal goes.
Yeah, notice the word legal. I am Andy N. She is, oh yeah, the former Amanda Steele and Nicholson, now N. So anything to go and breathe. That's why she's not called Mandy N yet, just to really confuse people.
Yeah, don't get confused.
Yeah, anyway, we have a guest today.
Yeah.
Yes, now, it's very unusual on this podcast today. It's part one and part two. With me flying solo on the interview stage because it got a bit late for you, man, for this one, didn't it?
Yeah,
So,
I was dreaming.
yeah, well, she
Okay,
was
I was
not.
doing my part.
Yeah, she was dreaming. We had a dream analysis coach, I did anyway. The wonderful Chelsey Turpening Coxsey. Now, she's over from the Toledo area in Ohio. Really lovely lady. Really enjoyed chatting to this lady as well. It's just a shame, Matthew, you couldn't make this one, could you? So, because you have talked to her afterwards, and I know you got on really well with her, didn't you, as well? So what we did in part one was we talked about where Chelsea's all the dream analysis came from on the coaching side of her career, which is really. And then Amanda left us a couple of questions as well. So I asked these questions on your behalf, Amanda, didn't I?
Yeah, I asked about recurring dreams, whether they have more meaning than one-off dreams, and I also asked about past lives being linked to dreams as well, because as people will listen regularly will know, I've got a strong interest in past lives.
Yeah, she answers questions really well as well, actually. Yeah. There's a lot more into that, really. It's a really good podcast. They all are, anyway, of course. But I did really enjoy this one in particular. Now, before we go into the podcast, as a bit of PS, really, it doesn't have much to do with this dream analysis, but you can tell people your weird story.
Yeah, so I have chronic pain, and one of the things I have to do to manage it is lie on an acupuncture mat, which has lots of spikes coming out of it. And I was doing that on bed the other day, and suddenly I heard a clicking sound, and the fan switched itself off at the other side, at the other side of the room.
Very weird, that. Now, people obviously would have backtracked on our podcast fairly recently. We went up to York, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we had similar situation with the TV clicking itself on them, what was it, just midnight or something. Yeah. And we chatted to at least two, I guess, about that. We weren't sure, were they, whether it be a setting or something. But that fan doesn't have a remote.
No, there's no way to set it or do a remote or anything like that.
Yeah, because I heard the fan on. I thought, she must put the fan on. Overheated, when I found after what it was really weird.
It's like once I settle on the acupuncture mat, it's like I have to, if I get off it again, it takes a couple more minutes to get used to the spikes. So I just stayed on it and thought, this is annoying because it's cold now. But I didn't feel threatened or anything. I know some people would be scared and panic and run out of the room, but I just continued to like it, like it's perfectly normal.
That's very usual, I think so. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let's do the extra story. We are planning to do a news episode in a couple of weeks' time because we want to get back into these again, don't we, and stuff, because we haven't done these for a while. Because we've had so many good guests on recently, it's true, isn't it? We've not had the opportunity to go back to discussions and stuff, but that is going to start happening. I reckon probably at least a couple of times we'll move past the plan, basically, isn't it? So, but we'll see. Anyway, Amanda, into the podcast we go.
Cloaked in the shadows.
Well, I'm a dream analysis coach and author. I'm very big into metaphysics and Carl Jung. So the journey began with myself at first, doing my own dream analysis and kind of evolving into understanding my personal symbolism, my experiences with the mass collective symbolism and archetypes, and really just ultimately my dreams had led me through my spiritual awakening, or waking up to myself and doing internal healing and pulling up the subconscious aspects of myself to the surface and bringing it to wholeness, basically. So after all of that, I went through a program to bring it into a session for other people. So I became very passionate about it, and I love it.
So did it come originally this then because of there's some dreams you were having yourself, and was it just something that you naturally stumbled onto then?
Well, I always had wild dreams ever since I was a little kid. And it always felt normal to me, right? But I have to say, through a certain point, because I had dealt with depression for most part of my life, my dreams were really pulling at me at the seams a lot. So it was to the point where I was having like some really weird metaphysical experiences as well as internal messages coming through over and over again. So it's like they were hitting me off upside the head trying to get my attention, and I had to focus on them. I couldn't ignore it anymore. So that's kind of where it started.
Yeah, no, I can understand it. Like, unfortunately, people know Cloaked channels using me and Amanda, but she can't make it tonight because it's too late for her. But I know she's like that a lot of self, where she has it. It's a shame she's not here tonight as well, because she has a lot of the most vivid dreams, and it's like, and I'm guessing they've been very similar to you, would have been really quite realistic as well, wouldn't they? Where like it'd
Yeah.
be dreams that really were like an extension of her life. Was that what you were like then when this first started happening for you?
Yeah. It literally sometimes it feels like you are living a double life. And it gets very interesting. And I think a lot of people feel that way. So dreams are really common, but I think a lot of times in society we kind of brush it off as just a projection of our own internal aspects, which is true, but there's a lot more to it than that. And some
Yeah.
people dream a lot more than others or have better memory of it. So I think those who I call dreamers, we're definitely kind of in tune to it if we fully understand it or not. It does feel like you're living a double life a little bit.
Yeah, I do dream a bit, a lot, but not to the level like Amanda does. When I don't know what you're like this, because I'm so really interested in this. I know when obviously when me and Amanda we have quite different sleep patterns, but when she gets up in the morning, she'll tell me of 3 or 4 dreams she's had during the night, and some of mostly are very surreal and often wacky, which match her sense of humour. I can usually remember maybe one, maybe two. So is that what you like yourself? And do you tend to dream, say, several dreams in one night? Or do you have like
Yeah.
1 or 2 long
It
ones?
we are very active in the night if we realize or have memory of it or not. So I
Hmm.
would say we dream every single night. Everybody does. It's what our brain naturally does when we are resting, right? It's just holding conscious awareness to it. I know people like to practice lucid dreaming, which would be the idea of controlling
Hmm.
your dreams, being consciously aware. And then there's ideas of astral projecting, where you're consciously stepping out of your internal space and going into like the mass collective of not just our planet but like the universe. So people have a lot of really strange experiences, traveling outer space even or around the world.
Yeah, yeah, no, well, that's what I'm like because you wouldn't necessarily notice me and Amanda were both writers, and Amanda's like horror and science fiction. In her case, it's zombies keep coming into her dreams a lot, and
Oh
usually involve,
no.
yeah, no, usually involving me leaving her behind and running off without her because I'm much taller and longer. But yeah, it's strange things. Now, we better cover Amanda's 2 questions she's left for us tonight as well. So I said before to you, she won't forgive me if I don't ask you these questions. So, but we'll start on the first one then. Um, do reoccurring dreams have more meaning than one-off dreams? Do you think?
I think so, yeah. And the reason why they hold more meaning is because it's something that's continuously trying to reach out in a message. Um, and we're not all necessarily grasping it. So it'll keep coming back. I know a lot of people have dreams, um, like going through an airport or a mall or at some sort of maze or something. Those tend to be some more of the popular styles. But of course, this can look
Hmm.
like anything to anybody. But reoccurring dreams are some of my favorites because it definitely has a deeper meaning and it's trying to get your attention.
Yeah, yeah, I've noticed that myself. Like, it's usually if I'm having reoccurring dreams, he said 40, correcting it. It's there's symbolism behind it that I always think of straight away, and I think it won't go away until you deal with it in real life, and I think that's what you're probably thinking along your side yourself as well. Now,
Yeah,
the more unusual question Amanda asked, and I'll tell you about this why, is about past lives. Because do you think could dreams be linked to past lives?
of course. Yeah, I'm having a workshop in about 2 weeks on
Oh yeah.
Akashic records and
Oh,
dreams. Yeah.
yeah. Now, it's, I know the one. Well, in my case, I've had 4, but I know definitely I know of 4. And Amanda's had quite a few more than that she has. But is can you explain to us in a bit more detail? I'll tell you about Amanda's the major dream one she's had because she was a German lady that came over to England in the late 19, I think was 40s actually, died in the very early 70s, a couple of years as she was born. And she's seen a lot of detail on that one, she has. So, can you tell us about then, yeah, what significance it is with dreams and past lives, in your opinion?
We exist as a soul. So when we are dreaming or even living in this life, we do access our soul. I don't think a lot of people realize that necessarily. Yeah, there
Hmm.
is an idea of our internal family system dreams, which is what we're experiencing
Hmm.
in this life and right the now, right? But there's a thing that, so I always say it's a self-discovery going through dream analysis, but it's also a soul discovery. And it really gets large. I have seen people go through their Akashic records, experience their guides, see bits and pieces of past lives. And sometimes it's obvious that it is what it is. And sometimes it takes a minute to kind of let it unfold. And then we're realizing we're working with a soul discovery, is what I call it. Um,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, we are really trying to tap back into our soul and who we are as a large scale history level of ourselves. So it's hardly ever just about this life. We experience a lot of past life things too.
Yeah, have you found out much? I'm always in the opinion with that, with this sort of thing, again, with past lives. It's like you learn, I mean, if you learn to do these dreams properly, it all reflects on like a journey, doesn't it, really? That goes from A to B. But like I've always believed in the theory that these past lives you're dreaming of aren't necessarily the past lives from the past. It could be ones from the future, and there's no set pattern of it, really.
Time does not exist,
Yeah.
technically, right? And a lot of people have visions that comes up in our conversations a lot, where you have a vision of something that's going to happen. I've experienced this. I've had clients and other people online I talk to about dream analysis that talk about visions. We've had workshops where we've talked about visions. So there's a ahead of the timeline, but there's also a past timeline. And I think sometimes we could even tap into a mass collective. So you might be
Yeah.
experiencing your personal experiences maybe from a past life, but you could also be experiencing like a mass collective memory as well. Maybe something that wasn't actually a part of your history, but it's still in this mass collective consciousness where we tap into as a race, right? We're all connected.
Yeah, it's like they say with animals, don't they? Sometimes, like animals have shared souls, and I think humans do have that as well. And I think there's a lot we don't know about ourselves sometimes. And I find it really interesting. Yeah, like you made me think then, like I've had the last major vision I had like this, and I've had a number of visions over the years, was, and I'm one of Amanda's best mates. She's a mystic, a very much a mystic lady, and I would need to get you two talking, but I don't know how we do it because Ruth's not got as good an internet connection as me. But I remember her telling me once, and Amanda, we'd actually been together in a past life as a couple. And I remember this because we went to go and watch the last Underworld film with Kate Beckinsale in. This is a few years back, and it was,
So
frankly, it was awful. I zoned out. I went to another world for about 40 minutes, and all I was, and this always takes me at this does, was I went back to Vikings, and Amanda was my wife. It looked like her as well.
oh my
It's,
goodness, it's
it's
popular.
yeah,
There's a lot of karmatic pulls towards
yeah,
people, so we seem to be having this almost deja vu
yeah,
experience, life after life, with some of the same souls that we're just tied to.
yeah.
And it does show even in dream analysis. So I
That's what I was
love
wondering. That's what I was wondering
hearing the
about. Yeah,
stories and
yeah, it's like
gathering the
what?
data.
Yeah, it's
It gets
like
quite obvious.
how have you found it over time because you first started into this? Do you think like I'm always of the opinion as well? You're always learning, aren't you? Everything you do in life. And have you found
Yeah.
this sort of, you've got into this, it's gone in a very different way, some degree than what you originally expected?
I was keeping an open mind for evolution. I always save room for evolution. So I try not to have this idea of what it would be. But I think when I first got into dream analysis, I was just letting it evolve naturally, and I really wasn't sure where it would go. But it very much surprised me, because, I wasn't working on myself anymore. I was working with several other people and watching it in their life or in their dreams. Um, it's absolutely beautiful. And that's why I came across, I was like, well, it's a self-discovery, but it's also a soul discovery and there's so many layers to it. And people focus on dreams for different reasons, but for me, I still am saving room for the evolution of it. I'm trying not to have too many expectations, but I'm getting a better view of like how important my role is as a dream analysis coach and how it really does affect people, and it's beautiful. And so I'll just keep it at that for now because like I really couldn't tell you what I would expect in the future from this. But I do know it's going to be good and it's going to be authentic and it's going to be wow because that's what it's been so far. It's just wow.
Yeah, I think it does.
Unbelievable.
I think everything's like that, really, because like I think you're doing a lot of analysis work, like you are, and I know it's been like a writer myself. Like you follow a lot, see the way things are developing all the time, and things seem to change and evolve constantly, don't they? Like, and I've even seen it with like ChatGPT getting involved in dream analysis as well. And I was reading an article about that today, and I thought I couldn't see that, but yeah, it does. It's fascinating, really. So, well, have you ever found it? Okay, yeah, maybe it's one of my questions for you now.
What was the question?
I'm trying to find the question. My computer froze. Then, you want to tell people
Oh,
about? Yeah, sorry about that. For people that don't know, then, do you want to give us a couple of common misconceptions about dreams and dream analysis for people that don't know this sort of thing?
well, I think the soul discovery sometimes is kind of intimidating still for people, so I still will always preach that. Um, at this point, dream analysis has taken me into demonology,
Is it really?
which
Oh
is a
wow,
very deep
wow,
concept, very extremely metaphysical, but not just demonology. I also deal with like aliens,
really?
and they
Right.
work as guides. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but the ones that are good really interact a lot and appear in dreams a lot in very mystic ways. Um, they love to share world history and teach people special abilities. So, and I
Oh
don't
wow.
think that's something I would have advertised at first as, oh, you want to meet some aliens? Let's do dream analysis. I would have, that came out of left field, which I knew it could have, and I knew it existed in the realm, but it's insane how much it has come to the table just in the sessions. So we've got the demonology and aliens, and the Akashic records or your past life experiences come up. But I'd have to say, dream analysis or our dreams are extremely metaphysical. And I
Mm.
could sit here and say what it means psychologically and how it's all internal, but I think it shocks people the most when I say, no, there's definitely a lot going on. Our mind, our brain is an open door. And if you realize there's a door or not, you will eventually realize it. And that's something that even with some of my clients who started out not necessarily spiritualistic, kind of just wanted to see where it would go. And they're like, I think there's other conscious beings in my dreams. And should I be worried? It's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, you caught me out the bit about the demonology man doing the aliens, so that does it. Just it should. Have you found then, obviously, since you've been doing your training on this, was there anything that really surprised you? Apart from that, even really, you could argue that.
It doesn't, none of it surprises me, but what surprises me a little bit is how the universe keeps sending me the information I need in the right time before it happens in my sessions to be able to help my clients. So it's always like this wow a little bit where it's like, I was just studying on this topic the other day and here I am this week in a session and it's coming up and it's like um anything if I, the part that wows me is how synchronicity works within all of us and even between everybody. And I've had, so at like one time we were working with, of course, the demonology a few months ago, and we were trying to figure out some ideas of good and bad, but it wasn't just between one client, it was between like three clients, but they weren't talking to each other, but they were all having these interesting concepts that were bouncing back and forth amongst themselves, like, well, how does evil exist in metaphysics and stuff? And we were starting some beginning works at the demonology a little bit, like as a group. And then one of my clients who was not involved in the conversation had a dream. And she was like, oh, I only had one dream this week, and I don't really see what the importance of it is to her personally. But we read it, worked through it, and I realized that the dream that she had was answering my question. And it was that, she was dreaming and she saw Jesus talking to a bunch of people about demons and how they exist as antimatter or something like that, and that they're just coexist as part of the system. And it was just really weird. And she was more focused on, oh, hey, it's Jesus. How cool. She didn't even remember what the message was until she heard what I was working on, and then she was like, he was talking about demons actually. And so it was weird. So it was like, okay, well, I feel like your dream was almost directed towards me more than it was her. It was interesting how it was answering my questions on some gaps, I guess, in knowledge. But we see that a lot. And another thing with some of the dreams is that they all work as small, tiny puzzle pieces when it comes to metaphysics, and they
Hmm.
all make one big picture. So each dreamer has a puzzle piece that fits together in a very large theme. And that's something we see a lot in the dream sessions. So I do group workshops so everyone can come together and share what they got going on and kind of start noticing that it is creating one large picture of a metaphysical reality almost.
With the group sessions then, because how many people can you do in a group session at once then for yourself? Or what's the maximum you've done yourself then?
They can be as big, so they're still kind of new. So usually I have like anywhere from like 5 to 8 people,
Wow.
depending on the day. But some of them are new to the group and they don't do one-on-one sessions with me, but they want to just jump in and involve themselves, which is I open space for that. But when my clients join, it gets to a much deeper conversation because I've been working with them for a few months, so they approach it from different ways. But it's kind of like a share and tell is what I call it, and peer work. And at the end of the day, they really just dig deep into certain concepts. Like the demonology always makes sense and goes full circle between several people. Um, Ideas of archetypes or world history, or like ideas of concepts on a large scale of humanity. A lot of people have a lot of different puzzle pieces that all mix together and make one big picture.
Yeah, I've
And
noticed
down
that.
to very specific details, even. It's quite wild.
It can be.
Uh,
Yeah. I've had them myself where like this, where I've had my dreams and you come away after you wake up in the morning thinking, I have no idea what just happened in that dream. Or other times, don't you like something yourself and you wake up and you know it's quite specific detail. Like it's, I think there's layers of it. Is that right? Saying there's sort of layers, isn't it? Like dreams. Some like it's more obvious than others sometimes. But you puzzles has got jigsaw pieces. A good word, good description for that, definitely. So
yeah. And symbolism always evolves. So what it means to you at the morning you wake up will evolve in its meaning 6 months later if you write it down and look back at it. That's why I always say it's good to journal because we're not looking at one dream, we're looking at all of the dreams, and they
yeah,
really do come together as one large concept.
yeah. I've got a friend that does that. I'm not have to put in contact with him. He lives in America, Brian, and he does that. I know he's been journaling his dreams now for about 30 odd years. He has, and he's been showing me some of them. It's like and when I wake up, I can't even remember them to be honest with you. But I know his case, he's shown me them over the years, he has, and really quite fascinating where a dream from 20 years ago can make suddenly, it made no sense at the time, can make complete sense to him with another dream, can't it? So, yeah, it's really quite fascinating stuff. At some point, it's quite interesting, it's bizarre,
It
really.
is.
Yeah, now, what we're going to do here, we'll wrap up this part one here, Chelsey, because obviously I want to give you a chat. There's a few more things I want to talk to you about, so we'll do it as about two, I reckon.
Cloaked in the shadows. Having listened back to that, that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was really interesting playing here. We played that back before, and like I said, when I was chatting to Chelsea, it's dangerous sometimes when you hear people on podcasts, they don't know what they're talking about. What do you think of that? I think there's a lot of thought on that stuff, particularly about the questions you answered there, and that,
Yeah.
but it made it a really fascinating chat. That's part two. We'll follow next week. We have
Yeah.
about another 20 minutes or so. So, I know it's nice, another episode. So, say bye, Amanda.
Bye. Sleep tight.
This is Cloaked in the Shadows. Morphing.
Cloaked in the shadows.